team's going down. Every team that's going to be there, Carleton, Waterloo, you're going down. That's it.
I'm by definition non-normal.
Greg Sway, imagine you're on the basketball team.
Dude, you're wearing like a fucking ascot. Huh? You're wearing like an ascot scarf. Like, come on, dude. Actually, I think it's
I have finals tomorrow and 2 finals on Friday. I get this done. I get this done, dude. I would say we are very much so a TPS focused team, where we want to see our sniper Ben on Widow pop off and our Pharah just completely demolish the ghost teams. When people look for scrim blocks against us, they don't particularly want to play against us. And that is because we have an insane Pharah player, and they'll never believe that that's good practice. They want to typically practice their goats versus goats. And because we are very much so a Pharah team, they find no value in practicing against something that counters them, while at the same time does not exercise their goats versus goats at all.
Our captain, David Hoyne, aka Dimes, he is our projectile DPS player. He is, in a way, the star of the team. You know, he is truly a great player in every sense of the word. He is committed, he's dedicated. He most certainly showcases his skill on the playing field.
Oh, I got like that. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Michael, nicknamed FSR. He is an interesting character. Mostly after every scrim, he likes to debate a lot. So usually he brings up a lot of discussion, and we usually talk about it in depth. And it usually helps us improve a lot. Quite a bit, actually.
And then we have our main tank, Andre, also known as Little Big Hobo. In a way, you can say he is kind of the cornerstone of our team. As the main tank player, he carries so much impact, both in the momentum, the flow of a game, right? Mid-fight, between fights. He has such an important job.
Then we have Rex. His in-game name is Armor Rose. And honestly, I see this guy as a best friend. It's not about his Lucio gameplay most of the time. It's usually about his shot calling abilities. And that's what he provides to the team. His shot calling helps us a lot, makes us more organized, makes us more clean during fights. And we usually come out on top because of that.
And Melvin's a hard-working one to he's trying to learn his way as a main sport.
In the past, esports has always been seen as something that is more of a hobby. With the recent rise in esports at a professional level and a competitive level, it has legitimized the fact that esport is a viable career. Collegiate esports allows college students to pursue that passion when it comes to gaming and competitiveness, even when they're in school. Hopefully, one day we'll be able to see collegiate esport on the same level as like of NCAA basketball, hockey, football, all those things, because, well, at the end of the day, being an athlete is more than just being physical. Is about being a competitor, and many esport athletes are competitors at heart.
To win, you gotta be able to improve, right? And the only way to improve is to just talk it out. That's what my team's pretty good at. We're pretty good at talking it out. Post-game rituals, we just talk. Talk about our problems, talk about everything. We just talk.
Our post-game rituals? I usually leave really early after we win to go take a nap, so I'm not a part of what we do usually, but I know when we lose, we always do like a VOD review of what happened in the VOD, so I guess that would be our post-game rituals.
After every win, me and Ben will just go creep on twitch.tv to go find enemy team VODs. Normally we'll just like load it all up, go on like a Rabbit or some kind of like VOD sharing thing, and we'll just make fun of the enemy team. And then after a loss, me and FSR will debate for 2.5 hours, and then get into a custom game and map out how Zenyatta can rotate on Dorado.
Collegiate esports is important to me because without it, I wouldn't have met all these wonderful people in my life. Every single one of my teammates, they mean a lot to me, and without playing with them, without scrimming with them every day, without collegiate esports, I wouldn't have met them at all. Brought valuable friends to my life. People that I can trust, people that mean a lot to me. This means a lot. So thank you.
Oh, camera's real low. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Ontario Challengers League, the semifinals of Season 1 here. My name is Falcon,
And I'm Beatdown Boulevard.
and we're here to cast these lovely games for you today. Our first match will be between the Waterloo Warriors and then U of T Esports. We've got quite a lot of action ahead of us, and it's going to be a very exciting day.
Yeah, unfortunately, this was supposed to be the top 4, but one of the universities did have to drop out. But we still have 3 teams, still gonna have a lot of good Overwatch for you guys.
For sure. And we've got Carlton, who's the third team who's joining us today, and they'll be playing in our next match of the day. But our first one is going to be between the Waterloo Warriors and, as I said before, U of T Esports.
Yeah, and looks like the first map we're going to is gonna be Nepal. We're gonna start off with Control here and see
there we go.
how these teams are gonna be dealing.
We're figuring out some lighting
yeah.
stuff right now.
Yeah, don't mind that.
But yeah, all in all, it's going to be a super exciting day, and it's going to be interesting. So for those of you who may know me, I'm a main caster for a beer league, and I'm coming in fresh with all these teams. So this is all going to be first impressions for me. So everybody play your best, because this is your impression.
Yeah, it's all here to impress Falcon.
So we are moving to Nepal for our first map here. And let's take a look at our opening lineups. For the side of Waterloo, we've got Vexinus, Nexify, ATT, Lact, Damo, and Halo Angel. And on the side of Toronto, we've got Armorose, Ben, FSR, Lil Big Hobo, Dimes, and Baradilf.
Yeah, keep in mind too that this is the collegiate level Overwatch, but a lot of these players have been on top tier open division teams. Honestly, some of these players could make it on contenders as well. Like, I want to point out Vexinus, really good player, been on a couple teams. I've seen him in the open division on the AG Weekly, and a lot of these players are all at this level too, so it's going to be a great watch.
Looking in, looks like early lock-ins, of course. Obviously, some of these may be set to change. But on the side of Waterloo, we're opening with a very standard 3-3 GOATS-esque comp here. But on the side of Toronto, Armorose sitting on the Tracer, Ben on the Hanzo, FSR on Bastion, and there we go. There comes the late swaps. The Bastion goes away, but we are keeping the Solo Hamster quad DPS comp coming in from U of T here.
That's right, Waterloo going with the standard, and honestly, it's not too far off there for U of T to go for the multi-DPS comp. This is a really strong map for it with all the angles that these DPS players can take. U of T are actually already forcing Waterloo to go back to the spawn. They don't want to have to deal with the multiple points of fire. It is going to be really difficult, especially with Dimes on the Pharah, and nobody in the usual Ghost comp to really be able to challenge him. So we're going to see some swaps now. First cap does go to U of T, and Waterloo are coming back with the Sombra Tracer dive comp. Already coming to the point.
Let's see, forcing them back on that first point did allow the first capture to go over towards Toronto. Already 12% and climbing here. And we can see Dimes absolutely doing work on that Pharah right now. Halo Angel is just going to drop very quickly here. FSR getting the kill onto Lact after Amorose gets the DMAC here. Lil Big Hobo cleans up the last members. And all we have left is Vexinus waiting in the winds here. Tries to get a little bit of splash damage done. Starts building up that EMP though. Already at 59%. Close to the 70% of FSR. So even with the late swap, they're doing a pretty good job of keeping that ult economy rolling and growing for them.
Yeah, Waterloo switching to this dive does make a lot of sense. A lot of squishy characters for Halo Angel on the Winston to take advantage of, but unfortunately still kind of lacking in ways to survive and deal with the Pharah. Dimes again getting this opening pick onto Halo Angel. Although FSR does go down, this is still going to be a little tough for Waterloo.
Tracer on Tracer action though. Damo comes out ahead with Armorose going down. And it is fairly even right now, but it still looks like Waterloo is going to fall back and wait for their entire team before they start pushing forward.
And this is going to get really difficult now because U of T have built up 5 ultimates so far, and they're at 65%. Falcon, they might be able to cycle this all the way to the end of the cap here. Vexinus does really need to build up that EMP this fight if they want to cap.
Yep, Dragons comes out, forcing Waterloo to split a little bit on their offensive here. Armorose gets hacked here, but Dimes with that rocket barrage, picking off Vexinus. You've got Damo getting the stick onto Ben, and Little Big Hobo is following suit with a kill back onto Damo, and U of T is just pushing in this fight right now, forcing Waterloo to invest things they don't want to invest right now and go back to the spawn room with only 5% before they get this first cap. It looks like it's going straight over to the side.
Vexen is going to get that
Toronto.
EMP canceled, and honestly, it's not like anything would have worked out. Waterloo are going to lose 100-0. It looks like somebody is asking for a pause, though. Seem to be having some calming issues on the side of UFT.
Yeah, so even though they did have those communication issues, Dimes being unable to talk to the rest of his team still did a fantastic job of playing with Baradilf there, that pharmacy combo from the side of U of T. We've got the audio mic fixed here, and we are good to go.
Yeah, now there shouldn't be any issues for either side. We're going here. Just really want to touch on real quick. UFT played this really well. Having Armorose swap late into the Brigitte to be able to shut down Halo Angel even more was a big factor in why Waterloo struggled, even though the dive comp did make sense. This time around, Waterloo are rolling out on the Winston Ghost composition. A much better way of dealing with the DPS comp we're seeing from UFT, a lot of squishy members to take advantage of, and having this comp means that you still have a lot of sustainability.
We see Waterloo already forced back to their spawn room. Dimes getting so much value out of that Pharah pick, floating above, can see exactly where they're coming from. Concussive Blast not really finding anyone off the edge, but still enough to spread them a little bit here. And much like the name of the game in the first round here, although Waterloo has made it back, so they're going to be able to at least contest this first point. Still at 0-0 currently. A nice anti-grenade comes out onto Lack, dropping them dangerously low right now. U of T and Toronto still trading back and forth, or Waterloo, sorry, but they will be getting that first capture tick here. FSR on the point, trying to just pick off the remaining members of Waterloo, but they are not going down without a fight. 10% and counting, and U of T will flip it over in their favor.
Getting those late kills from FSR onto Halo Angel was really helpful. On top of the fact that Armorose came to the point fast enough to throw the anti-nade to basically get rid of any chance Waterloo had of keeping themselves on the point. And with the huge pick onto ATT, the percentage is going to continuously tick in UFT's favor. And UFT still retains some ult advantage here. Ben probably looking to use the Dragon. Same with Dime with the Rocket Barrage.
And it's something to say for the side of U of T. Not only do they build up those ults so quickly, they're also very, very good at holding on to them. They haven't invested anything that they don't need to invest. They've come out ahead on multiple team fights with just that left click. Little Big Hobo picking off Nexify here, forcing Waterloo to play a little bit more defensive, though that Winston still diving super deep. The remaining members are going to be going straight onto that point and going straight back to the respawn here as Dimes just goes off on that entire team with those rockets. Still saving that rocket barrage, just going back to that thing that I pointed out, that those ultimates not necessarily needed, really, really good to keep in your back pocket right now when you can just win the fight off those left clicks.
Yeah, Waterloo really struggling with this comp here. Committing to the fight while losing their main tank is really detrimental. There's no way you're actually going to win that, so they just succeeded in beating all charge. We're looking at Dimes right now, who's going to probably look to use that rocket barrage, and there it is.
Nice stun, though, coming out from Vexenus there. Stunning him out of that rocket barrage, but not before he picks off both Damo and Nexify.
Yeah, Dimes has looked damn near unstoppable on this Pharah so far. There's really no way for Waterloo to actually deal with him. You know, what I want to see them doing is I want Lack to focus more attention, eat those poke rockets, actually give him some pressure, like fly up, bump him, trying to hit him with the micro rockets or something, because right now Dimes is completely unhindered.
Yeah, they engage with that sound barrier here. It lets them get onto the point here relatively unscathed, but this is where the fight breaks out. Vexenus takes out Little Big Hobo super quickly here, and at 99% overtime, Waterloo has managed to flip the point back into their favor here.
Yeah, UFT might be looking for the... No, I take it back. Armorose going down means UFT do have to back off. Still 99-21. This is a tall hill to climb if you're Waterloo. Grab Pump combo is online, but they're going to need a lot more than that if they're going to take it all the way up to 100%.
Yeah, Waterloo, they've got their backs up against the wall right now, but this is sometimes where we see teams really pull it together and play their best in that 99% overtime where every single fight is a life or death situation here for them. Big grab comes out, but not going to connect to anybody. A little bit preemptive. The Diva Bomb also committed to that one. Dragons are coming through, though, forcing Waterloo to fall back and scatter as Vexenus drops to those hungry Maws. Everyone returning back to the point. Justice raining onto nobody in particular, but is still forcing Waterloo back here.
Still, this is the worst case scenario of your Waterloo. Two of your biggest ultimates, and they got you no value. They couldn't net you a fight win, not even a kill. We see Halo Angel doing his best here, but that nade is going to come out and keep UFT nice and healthy as they wipe out the rest of Waterloo.
That electrical primal monkey just swinging those big fists back and forth on the point, making sure no one can get close. Flips it back over, makes sure no one can touch, and here we have it. The University of Toronto will be taking Nepal in our first match here.
Now, although Control is a little more unique of a game mode compared to the other ones in Overwatch, still a dominant showing from UFT so far. I think Waterloo probably still just getting in the game here, warming up. Really got what I want to see from them going forward is they need them to disengage a little better. There are fights where they aren't going to get any value because they lose a member, but they still want to commit. But instead of feeding all charge, just wait for the respawn.
And I mean, it's something to say about a kind of team flexibility, maybe. Again, I'm going in here with very little preemptive information on the teams here, but it seems like Waterloo is so focused on running that GOATS comp that when Dimes' Pharah comes out, there's nothing they could do about it. They might have some minor poke from maybe if they switch the healer over to an Ana, but apart from that, so much pressure is on that D.Va player. And it's basically impossible for D.Va to actually keep up with the Pharah on a map like Nepal where the ceilings are so high, big open spaces, and there's basically nobody to contest Dimes.
Well, part of that, I think, is that the Waterloo don't seem to understand the win conditions of these compositions. When you have the monkey goats, especially with an Ana, the idea is your D.Va player flies up, uses the rockets, left click, that damage with the melee. That's enough damage for your Ana to just get one left click and take them out because the burst damage on that combo is very high. So focusing on getting rid of the Pharah first should be something that they want to be doing. If not that, try to get an early pick, win that ground war before Dimes can get any actual value off. But so far, they've been too slow to do so.
Yeah, and I mean, with the map being so wide open as it is, it's just very difficult for that GOATS comp to even ball up and move from their spawn to the capture point because there's so many wide open areas. It's a long hallway with perfect sight lines for that Pharah. So I mean, running the full-blown GOATS into Dimes' Pharah was definitely the downfall of the Waterloo Warriors on that first Nepal map.
Yeah, although GOATS is very strong, it is important to be flexible, especially on Control. We saw UFT the first round. They weren't playing GOATS. They were playing the quad DPS composition because that's still pretty strong here too if you have a good enough Wrecking Ball player.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we did see the one swap coming out at the very end. Tracer was no longer necessarily needed for the side of UFT, switching back over to that Brigitte, which enables them to kind of have a niche counter pick to that potential EMP coming out from the side of Waterloo. So we see just really good team comp management coming out from the side of UFT, swapping where they need to and keeping their ultimates banked up when they don't have to spend them.
Yeah, getting value out of those ultimates is really important. So now it looks like the next map has been set. We're going to the Temple of Anubis this time. It is Assault. So we're going to, another chance for Waterloo to get themselves into the game here.
And it looks like Waterloo is going to be choosing to defend first here on Temple of Anubis. And we've seen some pretty wacky stuff come out on Anubis. I mean, it depends on obviously the level of play, etc. But we've seen some interesting Torbjorn strategies. We've seen Symmetra come out on Temple of Anubis. It really kind of opens up the possibilities for something other than GOATS comps. And it's one of my favorite maps for just the kind of dynamics that can come out of it with so many weird angles to attack from. We've seen even in OWL, people teleporting up into that window and forcing the long flank and the pincer maneuvers that are available on that first point A capture. It's a very interesting map to watch, so I'm very excited to see what comps are going to be coming out from both sides.
And don't forget the release of Baptiste, the newest support hero, really making a name for himself in bunker comps. At this point, when you say bunker, Baptiste is in the picture, no question, because of that amplification matrix is so good. Not to mention his E ability, which could very well be an ultimate on its own, keeping your players, never dropping below 20% health while it remains up. Very interesting ability. Makes it great for characters like, when you play Bastion Orisa, who really immediately fall apart when pressured, forced to rotate. This one, with the lamp, with the the immortality
cookie, as
field.
some call it.
Yes. Having that means you guys, your bunker comp can stay up a little longer, can put out a little more extra damage, and sometimes that can be the difference in fights.
100%, and we've seen kind of some interesting interactions as well with having the immortality field also save you from things like the Riptire or the Diva Bomb, depending on how the damage is placed. So it's a very, very kind of a fickle mistress, but it can also turn extremely bad situations in your favor very quickly. So I'm really excited to see if they do decide to bring out something like the Baptiste Bunker here.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. I really like, too, how it adds an extra layer of, I guess, complication in the way that now teams really need to understand. As soon as Immortality Field comes up, immediately turn your focus to it, because it has something like 250, 300 HP. It's not a squishy boy.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen it single-handed in my own scrims here where, you know, as a full charge Zarya, it still takes almost 2 seconds to kill that lamp if you're the only person shooting at it. So not enough health to, you know, make it unkillable, but definitely enough that if you're just solo focusing it, you're going to have a bad time. And as we spoke about here, we see Little Big Hobo busting out of that Orisa, Dimes on the Bastion, and Armorose on that Baptiste, you know, the core components of this Baptical Bunker.
That's right, Ben. Taking advantage of these long sight lines is going to be playing the Widowmaker. Any squishy characters on the side of Waterloo definitely have to beware and be careful not to poke. So now we see Waterloo coming out of the spawn here. Damo's already ahead, probably looking for the scout, just to get a read on what UFT have.
I mean, it's nice to see a Genji coming in. It's definitely, you know, a character who's very powerful when it comes to dealing with these bunkers. You do have the ability to reflect all of Bastion's damage, but with that immortality field, it makes it very difficult to actually find that kill onto them. Early DMAC onto Lactier, Dimes just spraying it full of bullets. Halo Angel did take out that immortality field, but not before they could actually get any value out of this team fight.
Still so much done here by Waterloo to keep themselves, by UFT to keep themselves alive on the point here. Armorose getting so much healing out, protecting the hack dive here on the Bastion, but still, that's a really big play from Damo to be able to instantly isolate and get him out of his turret form. It looks like Damo's backing up as he waits for his team to come back. They're gonna go again because it is honestly the best way to deal with this Bastion bunker comp. You hack the Bastion so he can't be in his most dangerous mode, the Sentry mode, because of the unreasonable amount of damage that he outputs. And we can see Dimes spy checking a little bit, see if he can shoot Damo out of the invisibility. Looks like it isn't gonna work, and we got the hack onto FSR this time.
Big EMP coming out though, the entire bunker is completely shut down. We got the Dragon Blade coming through, Vexinus and Halo Angel diving in super deep. Dimes picks off Vexinus in the middle of that Dragon Blade. We've got a long distance immortality field coming out to the side of Waterloo, and it's just letting them do work on this point. Self-destruct is going to be coming through, finding ATT in the backline, but Dimes with that configuration tank picks off the mech of Lack, takes out Halo Angel, and here comes Waterloo's just completely halted in their tracks.
Really good rotation here from UFT. Despite all getting hacked, they immediately were able to back off onto the point and isolate Vexinus on this Genji. Unfortunately, wasn't to get too much value out of Dragon Blade. If he took Dimes out of this fight, this would have gone very differently. Waterloo would have had that point A cap, but now they don't have the EMP. Arguably the strongest ability in their team comp right now. They have the nano boost. There's a good chance they're going to use it onto Halo Angel on this Winston. Get some really serious damage in there, but Waterloo really need to get rid of the immortality field when it comes up, because so far it's not a lot of focus on there.
So, you know, see them trying to be a little bit sneaky here. Nano comes out here. Monkey is doing so much damage with that shock Tesla cannon. The Baptiste ult is in play though, so you know we're answering damage boost for damage boost at this point. Vexinus is going to take out that field, but not before FSR and Ben can get huge value out of these picks here. Again, forcing Waterloo back to their spawn.
Yeah, whatever chance Vexinus had an early pick onto Faradil gets knocked out and back into spawn by Ben. You know, not showing up the kill feed until recently. He's been doing a lot of damage still. Already about to get another Infrasight up. So it's going to be really difficult for Damo, who is about to come on with this EMP to hide, if Ben can get it up in time.
We've just seen just so much pressure come out of this bunker comp. We've seen, you know, them trying to dive onto it. Level just goes down so quickly. Another EMP comes out though, taking out that tank form here. Vexinus diving straight onto Ben, but Ben quickly grappling out of the way here. Self-destruct, not finding any targets, but Armorose is going to pick off Exodus in the backline, and FSR taking behind, or Damo out, sorry. And then still, U of T is just coming out ahead time after time in these fights.
Waterloo know that they have to back up right now. They can't afford to get a single member staggered, but Halo Angel back to the spawn room anyway. And Black, we're at 15 seconds left, Belkin. There's no way Waterloo are going to get a proper 6v6 in this last fight.
Yeah, when you end that last fight there with a triple kill coming out of Dimes in that configuration tank, it is just so difficult to get back on the points. Exodus, who did go down a little bit early, will be able to make it back. Halo Angel touches just to make sure that overtime can get started here. Lax diving in deep onto Dimes, but with that Baptiste amplification matrix right in front of that Bastion, so much damage is going to come out of that. Self-destruct coming out from FSR is going to find Halo Angel here as well, making it very difficult for the side of Waterloo to get onto this point. FSR bumping ATT back and full holding here on Anubis.
This is indeed a full hold for UFC. This means now on their attack, they're going to have 4 minutes to capture one single tick. This is a very dangerous scenario for Waterloo here. They are on the cusp of going 0-2 so far in this series.
And I mean, we might just see the mirror comp come out here. We've seen so much value coming in from that, Baptiste flavored bunker, and there's just so much use you can get out of Baptiste's entire kit. It's basically entirely suited towards enabling that bunker composition. Not only do you have tons of AoE healing, you also have the ability to keep everyone completely immortal for a little bit here.
It's true, and honestly, running it on attack is a little bit difficult for the side of Waterloo. I see what they're getting at here, trying to get an immortality field of their own, but because you have that low ground disadvantage, is there really any way that you can actually make use of the amplification matrix specifically? Because it's really hard for you to be able to shoot up into the enemy team.
So we do see something similar coming out from the side of Waterloo on their defense here. They aren't going to be running that Baptiste here, but they do have something that's just as good at keeping the Bastion alive, which is the Symmetra coming out from ATT. Now, with the Baptiste, the bunker comp stays where it is. It becomes immortal, and it just tries to kind of power through whatever dives on top of it. But when you run this comp with the Symmetra instead, it's just kidding. Symmetra switching away.
Yeah,
ATT coming back.
It was just to get all of Waterloo onto that high ground position, make it a lot harder for the members of UST to dislodge them. So the idea here is that everybody stays up behind the shield except for Lack, who is going to jump in and contest, which is especially important here because Waterloo cannot afford to give up even a single tick. Now down to 3.5 minutes, and let's see if Waterloo can do it. Big pick to start off.
And I mean, it's so difficult with those long sight lines to even try and get some of your squishy members across into the hiding holes here on Anubis when you've got someone like Damo just watching with that Widow one-shot potential on every squishy member here. We see Dimes in the back on the Genji. He is going to be able to sneak all the way around. Lacked knows that Genji is behind though. He's going to, fire some harassing shots into the back line. Little Big Hobo though, snuck onto the point. Lack forcing him to drop down here. This just split pressure coming out from Little Big Hobo in the bottom and Dimes up on the top here. With the inability to have Lack kind of protect that barrier, there's going to be so much damage going into that Orisa shield, making Vexinus a very easy target.
UFT doing their best to have a multi-DPS comp with this Wrecking Ball. Instead of running a Winston D.Va, they want to set up multiple angles of fire so that the shield of Halo Angel, once set down, can't actually do anything to protect the Bastion. But the problem is they're on such a good high ground position. UFT are actually going to struggle a little bit to get this done. So far, almost 2 minutes have gone by and nothing to this effect has been done. But big pick and Blade is coming out.
Nexify, though, coming in huge with that anti-grenade, is going to take out Dimes in the middle of that Dragon Blade.
No.
Rez comes through. Armorose, though, picking off Vexinus. And this is exactly what UFT was looking for with this very kind of slow-rolling split pincer maneuver comp here. FSR throwing the Dragons for good measure. And Waterloo Warriors.
I believe that's just a mix-up.
Nameplates got mixed around. Waterloo Warriors will be going down to Toronto Esports.
That's right. And yeah, big plays from Ben here on the Widowmaker. Managing to get that opening pick. I think this is what we're going to see right here. Yeah, taking Damo out of the fight and canceling the resurrection onto him was a big factor in winning this fight here. Oh, there it is.
Absolutely huge coming out from U of T here.
Yeah, really big plays. Like this is what I was talking about when I was referring to setting up those multiple angles. Because once you press E on the Orisa, once you put that shield down, there's no way to move it. It's there until you set up another one. So there are so many different angles to take. And honestly, even for I've never seen an angle like that on Anubis. Ben was way deep on what was essentially point B. But it gave him a really good sight line on what was going on the high ground of point A, where pretty much the entirety of Waterloo was.
Yeah, and I mean, when you set up that crossfire so methodically, you take your time, you don't rush anything. You saw Little Big Hobo forcing someone at least to drop down and contest him, which is already splitting someone off of the bunker. And bunker plays together. If bunker's like in Immobile Goats. Yeah. If bunker gets split up, the effectiveness of it drastically drops. So immediately, when Little Big Hobo gets onto their point, forcing the D.Va to drop from the high ground, not only do you lose a lot of your protection on the Bastion, you're also kind of setting up multiple DPS angles that we saw coming in from not only the Genji, but also from that Widowmaker. And there's no way that a single Orisa alone as the main tank up on that bunker composition is going to be able to, defend Bastion successfully, at least without the help of someone like Baptiste, who can, drop that immortality field as kind of a last-minute ditch effort to save Bastion. When you're getting shot from the back by the Widowmaker, you're getting deflected in the front from the Genji. You've even got Little Big Hobo coming in and ground pounding you in the middle of the chaos that's coming from every angle. And just a very, very well-executed attack coming up from the side of U of T Esports.
And I'm glad you brought up the lack of the Baptiste from the side of Waterloo on their defense. I don't particularly agree with it, just for a number of reasons. Baptiste does actually put out a lot of healing. I can see what Waterloo was going for here, running the Mercy, having that resurrect, that second chance at life, because they know once they lose that first fight, there's really no coming back, especially with the one-tick win condition for the side of U of T. So that being said, they opted for the resurrect instead, but Res being pretty slow to channel nowadays after those changes, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's a lot easier to cancel than it used to be.
Yeah, and I mean, not only can a headshot from Widowmaker stop the res, which we just saw, even something as small as a D.Va boosting you and pushing you just a little bit too far outside of the range. Right. It's so easy to interrupt now, especially with the way that the boop changes have affected. Mercy is no longer as kind of sticky as she was prior to this, so any type of forced movement from any source will almost instantly cancel that resurrect now if timed properly.
That's right, and honestly, Baptiste puts out a lot of healing in himself, and having that immortality field might have been a better option. But either way, it's in the past. Now we're waiting.
And I mean, we'll see what new map is ahead of us here. We're waiting on Waterloo to make their decision here, and currently Toronto, or U of T, is 2-0 in the series right now versus Waterloo. Again, this is just our first match here in the semifinals of the Ontario Challengers League, for those of you just joining us.
That's right, and like we said earlier on in the broadcast, or if you're just joining us, Queens did have to drop out. Therefore, Carleton gets a bye in the semis, and we will see them in the finals versus the winner of this match right here.
Yep, being Waterloo and U of T here.
Yeah, keep in mind this is a best of 5, first of 3. So U of T are at match point essentially.
Yep, backs against the wall. Waterloo Warriors has to pull out 3 wins back to back if they want to advance here in the series. So tons of pressure on that team coming out from Waterloo. But I mean, to make it this far, from my understanding, is Waterloo is a relatively new team compared to both Carleton and U of T here. So having them even make it this far as their first run in this circuit, very, very impressive showing from them as kind of a newly formed team, pushing their way, making themselves known, and we've seen just good performances all around from both sides. It does, on paper you look at a 2-0 or a 3-0, and it feels bad. It looks like, they got completely stomped here, but it completely was not the case. Waterloo Warriors was putting up a valiant defense and offense on both of their maps here against U of T Esports. It just kind of came down to some hiccups in team compositions, I feel.
Yeah, I gotta agree there. I think U of T, one, they know what they want, and like I was saying on Nepal, they know their win conditions. They know exactly what they need to do to give them the best chance of winning. Waterloo still kind of need to figure that out, but there are definitely signs of life. They're not dead in the water yet. We could very well see a reverse sweep on our hands.
Yep, and I mean, as I said, even on Nepal, when they got that 99% overtime flip,
Yeah.
that is when some teams really, put on their big pants
Yeah.
and just bring everything to the table. So Waterloo Warriors, this is your chance to bring it back here. 3 victories in a row. It's definitely possible, and we'll see kind of what comes out here in our next match. Looks like Numbani will be our next destination here on this little trip around the world. We've seen 3 different continents now, so it'll be good, a good change of scenery.
For sure, and I think this is a pretty smart pick from Waterloo Warriors. They do seem to be more comfortable running like dive-centered compositions. I see the Halo Angel seems to be more comfortable on the Winston in general, and this is a really good map for them to run it. On the defense, you can run that Winston Ghost with the Ana composition. You could even get away with running the dive on the attack, especially because, at most point A's, it is not unheard of to run multi-DPS compositions.
Mm-hmm. And it's it's definitely showing that they've come in prepared for this. They know what maps they can play to their strengths,
Yep.
and they're choosing those to make sure that they can push forward into this series here.
That's right. Now we're checking out, just waiting for the teams to set up here and take a look at what we're expecting. I am expecting a dive goat defense or something to that tune. Or actually, it is very possible to run a bunker too. A lot of teams do like to hold up near point A on the top corner there and just literally bunker up onto a corner. It is very difficult to get up there. You would have to take the stairs, go all the way around, give the bunker comp a lot of time to reset themselves. So the only way really to counter that is some highly mobile composition here.
But looks like we are going to be going back to that composition we saw coming out on Oasis here, where Dimes and Baradilf are running that
Nepal.
pharmacy combo again. And I mean, it's netted them so much value on Nepal. Sorry, not Oasis. On Nepal that I can definitely see it working here. There are still quite a lot of long sight lines, and there's definitely places to get a ton of value with that rocket barrage, depending on how the side of Waterloo decides to push forward here.
Still, the Winston Goats on the attack. Waterloo definitely, UFT definitely do have to be a little bit careful here. They really got to focus on Ben's hacks or Dime's, whoever Dime can direct hit. The idea is they should go hand in hand, and they should be focusing down on winning those 2v1 fights and bursting down targets very quickly, like we're seeing with Nexify, already forcing Waterloo back to the spawn battle. Wait for Nexify to come back.
Yeah, and exactly like you talked about, you can see Ben in the back line here. He's just waiting for those direct hit pokes to drop someone within 1 clip range. But just so much damage comes out from Dimes right now. Damo gets taken down immediately. Lack, though, with the very fast reaction, but it wasn't enough to actually get the kill onto Dimes. And he's just going to keep pounding rockets down into the fight here. FSR is going to pick off Exodus and Halo Angel. Just so much damage coming out from that D.Va mech. Lacked feels bad when you're the baby D.Va stuck here, staggered out, and that is going to be a long reset for the side of Waterloo.
Truly, nobody gets bullied in Overwatch quite like a baby D.Va outside of the mech. So we're going to see Lack forced back to spawn, last one to respawn. And I really want to touch on how UFT are doing so well to just allow Dimes to live his best life on this Pharah. Hasn't died, halfway to another rocket barrage, even while his ult is going off. We see FSR protecting it, but
nice.
Damo with the swap to McCree.
And it pays off. Headshot onto Dimes. Just takes him out of the sky here. No way for Baradilf to get that resurrect. Next by picks off Lil Big Hobo. That Discord orb coming in clutch. Damo taking out Armor Rose as well. You can hear the cheers from the teams in the back line. The point does get captured. FSR drops that self-destruct. Maybe a bit of a panic push there, but it looking really good right now for the side of Waterloo.
FSR definitely wanted to remech there, but unfortunately might have just been a force of habit, because now they aren't going to have that where they could probably use it in the next fight.
Yeah, you really want to save that self-destruct. When you don't have the Graviton Surge available, you want to pair it with something like the EMP.
Absolutely.
Where, it takes down all the shields, it removes most characters' ability to use their mobility options. You know, it definitely gives FSR a lot more of a chance to get picks that normally wouldn't come from a, you know, a willy-nilly self-destruct tossed over the top of the building.
For sure. I really like how Waterloo are playing to their, not playing to their strengths necessarily, but, you know, understanding the win conditions better. They see Dimes on this far. They switch the pocket on McCree, but UFT are making their move to try to take him out.
Here we got the electrified monkey just doing work in the backline, chasing ATT down, but Damo with a huge high noon, taking both Ben and Dimes out of the equation. Little Big Hobo just gets taken out at the mercy of the entirety of Waterloo. And it's just an absolute train that is not stopping at any of the stations here, rolling straight on to our third point here on Numbani.
And this, I need you to understand how big this is from Waterloo. When you play a somber comp, you need to win fights you have with when you have EMP up. Otherwise, you're really screwed for the fights going forward. So Damo making sure he's not hacked, manages to get that high on noon and get 2 is so big because now they're already at third point with 4.5 minutes left as both sides are making the swap onto Goats as is usually done here, but Waterloo definitely have the ult advantage.
Engaging with that sound barrier, self-destruct comes through into the backline, is going to find a double kill onto Lil Big Hobo and Dimes. Both tanks from UFT are going down, and one after another, the support lineup is dropping. Waterloo came in huge. They're showing that they deserve to be here, and they are pushing straight through on Numbani.
Already recognizing their ult advantage and basically making the best of it. They're now spawn holding as best as they can, trying to build up that shatter from Halo Angel, try to get a pick on someone, just keep them in the spawn room. Huge pick onto Bem. FSR is going to throw that bomb out.
But here we are looking for a pause right now, seeing as Armorose did in fact Baradilf DC'd from the game.
Yeah, that is actually really unfortunate because, you know, losing them so late in that last fight might have been a really deciding factor there almost. Yeah, Baradilf is now back in the lobby, so unfortunately that does mean Waterloo are going to cap with essentially 4 minutes into the time bank.
And you know, a bit of an unfortunate situation here for the side of U of T, but we'll see if they can make their own 3-point push here.
Yeah, definitely U of T are not out of the water just yet. They do have the opportunity, if they can get a decent time bank and keep themselves going in overtime rounds, this could still be a very competitive map.
So comp-wise here, we do see something similar coming out that Waterloo had so much success with here. They're opening with their own FAR this time with Vexinus and ATT running that pharmacy, but Damo back on the McCree here. I think they're expecting Dimes to be running that FAR of their own, and Damo already proving to be a very, very threatening McCree, which not always a sentence you hear, especially with McCree kind of dropping out of favor with some new heroes like Ashe coming in, for example. But you know, Damo here proving that McCree is not a hero to be forgotten.
Definitely not, and with finding so much value out of the high noon, which is a pretty strong ult too, is huge, but still, Damo has to be very careful. Playing this McCree means he is an extremely diveable target, especially with Dimes playing this Genji. It is possible that with a well-coordinated dive, UFT can completely take him out of the picture. It is going to take some legendary peel to keep him alive.
Here we go, immediate dive from Big Hobo, Dimes, and FSR. They are going to find the kill immediately onto Damo, only being able to roll, only gets you so far. AGT gets the res uncontested though. Damo back onto the high ground, railing damage into Little Big Hobo. Dimes, is going to find Vexinus here, Armorose demeching lacked. And with those resets, Dimes taking out ATT. It's just going one after another in the favor of U of T.
Yeah, really good early pick off there. Baradilf doing his damnness to dodge Halo Angel and the rest of Waterloo, keep himself alive. And while doing so, playing that game of cat and mouse, Waterloo managed to just, especially Dimes in particular, managed to just take out the remaining members of Waterloo. So now he has the Dragon Blade, probably going to wait for Armorose, who has the Nano Boost. Really deadly combo there, the Nano Blade, if used correctly.
And we see it has also forced some swaps onto Waterloo. They've decided to opt off of their own pharmacy here, and they are going to a McCree Dive Goats. We've got the Winston Diva, we've got the Brigitte and the Lucio paired with that Zenyatta backline, but Damo will just be railing damage from that high ground. Here comes that Dragon Blade immediately finding ATT. Vexinus though is going to pick off Little Big Hobo. Halo Angel dropping to that blade once more. Dimes just doing work with that. Gets the reflect onto Tamo from the high noon, and Ben's picking off Lack in that Baby Diva format here is just going to allow UFT to continue rolling on through this point.
Unfortunately, Damo tried to use the high noon early in just to try and beat the deflect on the Dimes, but it got enough damage on him for Dimes to just finish him off. So UFT again making their merry way through the street space of Numbani. Many ults as well. Ben looking to get a nice stick from the back here with this pulse bomb.
Doesn't even need to use it right now. Dimes also finding so much damage, letting Ben just kind of do some cleanup here, giving the resets back over to Dimes. And this Genji is absolutely tearing through the side of Waterloo right now. Little Big Hobo cleaving people down. Armorose finding the kill onto ATT. And Lacked just trying to stall time off of the clock here, just mere meters before it transitions into point C.
And this is getting a little dangerous for UFT. We got 5 minutes, 15 seconds on the clock. Plenty of time to finish the third point here, on top of the fact that Dimes has the Dragon Blade, is ready to use it again. Might wait for Amorose really close to that nano boost. Hopefully, Waterloo can use their support ult, nullify the damage. As they've made the swap to the Ghost Comp here, they do have a lot more sustain.
Yeah, and it's going to make, finding a target for that Dragon Blade very difficult for Dimes right now with just how much health and healing is available to a Goat's composition here. It'll be very difficult for them to actually find value with this. But here it comes out. Self-destruct, forcing people back a little bit. Dimes has the nano boost, is going to find the kill into Lack, taking out Vexinus in the backline as well. And even though there's just so much health and healing from Goats, the Blade is still going to come in huge here. ATT stalling out as best they can on the point, but it's not going to be enough to stop the absolute steamroll right now coming out from the side of U of T.
At the very least, now that the Nano Blade is out of the way, Waterloo still retain their Transcendence and are very likely going to be able to sustain themselves through the next fight, but they can't get hit with the bomb that's here from FSR, and they also really need to get on point.
Little Big Hobo immediately using up Primal Rage, knocking Halo Angel off the cliff here, giving so much free reign for that bomb to come out uncontested by a shield here. FSR still holding on to it for a clutch situation at the end, but Dimes picking off Nexify and Armorose picking off ATT is making it a very easy scenario here. Another Dragon Blade comes out, and a very, very fast completion here from Toronto.
Unfortunately, Halo Angel really needed to be alive there, needed to make it and block those anti-nades, because even though Nexify had the Transcendence, as soon as your HP goes purple, you're not getting any healing.
No, and it's a difficult spot to be in as a Reinhardt player in the current patch. So I definitely feel for Halo Angel, watching him get knocked right off the cliff here with the way those boop changes have come through. It makes playing Reinhardt very difficult at this level of play, especially with how often we see Lucio's come out, especially going up against Toronto, where Dimes has done so much work on that Pharah, the concussive blast, just making people move huge distances at a time here. So very, very difficult for Halo Angel to kind of defend his team as a Reinhardt with so many boop options available to the side of U of T.
Yeah, I think just crowd control abilities in general make it really difficult to play Reinhardt. I say this as a Reinhardt player in competitive Overwatch. It's the worst.
We hear the team like Brig Jail, etc. But the real jail is just being a Reinhardt lane, because you don't want to swap off it because Reinhardt's super fun to play, but you also don't want to do it because it feels super bad to be.
Just slept, sleep, stun, you name it. But we're gonna see now. No Reinhardt in this lobby at the moment. Both teams going for the Winston. UFT with the slightly slower time, shorter time bank are going to go on the attack first, playing the Genji Tracer composition here, but keeping Armorose on the Ana because those grenades have been becoming so big.
And it's a mirror match from our last round here, but it's also a mirror action. Damo, though, this time coming out ahead, not dropping first, but getting the first kill on a Little Big Hobo. Baradilf gets the res off uncontested, but Halo Angel's purple on the point, and not a lot you can do as a Winston inside someone else's bubble when you also do not have any healing available to you right now. 2 ticks come through, half tick goes in before finally Waterloo is able to touch onto the point and stall here a little bit. We've got Nexify in the back just trying to keep Lax alive. So much focus coming out. Dragon Blade comes through immediately picking off Damo, but a huge sleep from Nexify. We get the res onto Damo as well. Dimes, sorry, the entire blade gets used up. Gets the melee kill onto Damo once again. And we've got Halo Angel stalling out as long as they possibly can. The Nano Boosted Monkey gets so much armor, but is still going to be able to go down relatively quickly against the entirety of Toronto here as they just focus fire, get the point, and start playing very aggressively, buying their backline some free space here to move this payload forward.
You know, despite being the back foot early on during that defense, Waterloo still managed to do a pretty good job of stalling some time off there and keeping some of their key ultimates. Halo Angel not opting to use the Primal Rage is going to keep it this time around and hopefully use that to win a fight over here, because this is the overtime round. UFT do not gain any time bonus for capturing a single point. As soon as overtime hits, it will be overtime.
Here comes the High Noon as well, but there's nobody going to be able to actually get into the line of sight here. Little Big Hobo immediately Primal Rages and gets put to sleep, but woken up by that High Noon. The ante comes out, but it's not going to be enough to stop Little Big Hobo in his tracks here. Vexinus finding the kill on a Little Big Hobo finally after the Primal Rage wears off. Halo Angel picking off Dimes by landing straight on his head with that little Goomba Stomp here. And we've got a good stabilize coming out from the side of Waterloo.
Definitely, this is getting a lot more dangerous for UFT. We're down to 90 seconds, and again, there will be no time bonuses for capturing any more objectives. UFT do have the opportunity here with the Nano Blade. They are looking to use that and hopefully keep on moving forward here as time is starting to wane.
And this is definitely a place where Vexinus is going to be getting a lot of value on that Pharah. There's a lot of angles he can play behind. There's so many wide open spaces that he can just rail rockets down here. We see Halo Angel in the backline, forcing the support from Varadil to fall back. Armorose also dropping to that self-destruct. And with both supports down, it's going to be really rough for UFT to be able to push forward here. Dimes dropping extremely low and immediately drops the second that deflect wears off.
Waterloo, this is amazing for them. They're now 50 seconds left. This is going to be the last fight here from UFT. Their last opportunity to get the cart moving. The Waterloo being able to shut down the Nano Blade was unbelievably important for them. Now, Ben is going to swap to the Widowmaker, wants to deal with Vexinus on this far, realizing that UFT are struggling with him most of all. So Vexinus is going to have to play these angles very carefully if he wants to remain in this fight.
We see Dimes also switching off the Genji onto the far of their own and just so quickly building up that rocket barrage, already at 34%, but here comes the High Noon. Just hiding in the corner. It's going to find Little Big Hobo as he tries to leap to safety here. And with Halo Angel Primal Raging in the back, picking off Armorose, it's looking like another one fight here from the side of Waterloo.
Yeah, that's right. We're down to 10 seconds left. FSR is the one with the bomb, but he's probably going to get taken out before he can even get back in the mech here.
Though Halo Angel, before he can get the kill, goes down. FSR, Little Big Hobo, managed to touch the point alongside Armorose here. It is not all lost right yet. Damo picks off Armorose and Lack takes out Little Big Hobo. Waterloo is not giving up anything here. They want this point. They want this win here, and they are going to hold on to this overtime push as far as they possibly can.
Waterloo giving no quarter, are doing their damnedest to make sure the cart doesn't move a single inch, and it looks like they're going to succeed. Armorose being the last one onto the point, alone Lucio, what can he do? Overtime runs out, and Waterloo are poised to win this map pretty convincingly here.
Really, really solid hold coming out from Waterloo. And like we've said, when teams have their backs against the wall, this is where those clutch plays come out. We saw some huge work from that High Noon, multiple occasions picking up multiple kills. And just when you get a character that is so immobile, you really have to enable the McCree. And Waterloo has done a really good job of buying the McCree the space that he needs, the time that he needs to get that High Noon up and ready, to get full value out of it and swing these fights in their favor.
And UFT not doing enough to really take Damo out of the fight. You know, like I said, McCree being very diveable. Part of it is Waterloo, you know, giving him a lot of good resources to keep him up, but also UFT not really committing everything they can to take him out of the fight. On top of the fact they were a little stubborn sticking with this Genji when they didn't really have a way to deal with Vexinus on the Pharah. Getting a lot of value there, allowing Waterloo to get the hold we're seeing here.
Yeah, I think the swap onto the Widowmaker was definitely a good choice because Vexinus was putting a ton of pressure onto the side of U of T, but you know, a little bit too little, a little bit too late. Because I mean, it pushed it all the way until 10 seconds before overtime, before they made those swaps off of the Genji and onto the Pharah of their own and the Widowmaker of their own. But here we see that Orisa Bastion bunker coming out, Armorose on the Baptiste. And we've got Ben back on that Sombra, who's going to be able to get those hack targets, call them out, and also just kind of scout what's coming ahead of them right now.
Waterloo, anticipating the bunker here from UFT, are going to go for this Genji Sombra comp that they ran before. They're going to mainly focus on trying to hack the Bastion here in Dimes and immediately diving onto him. As long as they can get rid of the Immortality field, they should be able to do so. That is a big ante.
Vexinus coming in big with a kill on Armorose and Baradil. Dimes gets the DMAC, but it's not really going to be enough here. Picking off Halo Angel, but Vexinus returning the favor, dropping Dimes into spare pieces right now. Demo cleaning off Little Big Hobo, and FSR is alone on the point right now. The mech goes out, the Baby D.Va goes down, and Waterloo is capturing this first point decisively and quickly.
Vexinus impressively getting 2 kills off 2 anti, but still in a bunker of characters from the side of UFT. This is a really dangerous situation now. They have 3 minutes, only 3 minutes, Falcon, to get just about around this second corner here by the bus.
Unfortunate getting found out when 2 invisible Sombras bump into each other. It's always interesting to see, but Demo is going to get found out and taken down here, stalling the push for Waterloo a little bit here. So UFT has been able to stabilize, and they are holding this corner very well right now.
Yeah, UFT kind of in a panic mode now.
Big EMP comes out though. The entirety of Waterloo is locked up. Lacked and Nexify, the only people with abilities available. The anti does come out, but it's not going to be able to actually stop UFT in their tracks. Baradil swapping off of the Mercy onto that Moira and finding so much value, throwing the Tickle Squid out, getting the kill, and already 62% towards the Coalescence.
Yeah, but here's the problem, Falcon. Swapping to the Moira means no Mercy, no utility. Moira is just a pure healer. And look at Waterloo. They have 6 ults. They have built up the 6-pack and already going
Massive
to use some of them.
EMP. Vexinus coming in big, picking up a double kill, getting in the reset, getting that 3rd kill here. Demo cleaning up Little Big Hobo. AGT finding the kill onto FSR, and Waterloo has completely wiped Toronto's defense here as they push these last remaining meters on Numbani to secure the win for themselves.
UFT, our spawn room is so far, it's hard to say if they're even going to make it here as the cart ever gets closer to the golden rectangle of victory.
They're
looks like
trying to get it. There comes Ben. They managed to stall out the time a little bit here. Halo Angel diving back, and here comes the Primal Rage from Little Big Hobo. Immediately slept though, not going to be able to get a lot of value out of that one.
Still contesting the point though.
Armorose and Ben's doing their best to hold on to the point. Self-destruct comes through, landing right on top of the cart. Is going to find Vexinus though. Toronto is going to be able to stabilize a little bit. Halo Angel getting the kills onto Dimes, and AGT picking up Little Big Hobo, but they're trading kills back and forth. Lacked and AGT also going down in here, and Armorose and FSR are still holding on to this point.
Oh, they're not giving this fight up at all. It looks like Ben is the only one left on the point. Use the EMP.
And there they have it.
Waterloo have won this map and put themselves on the board here.
Back in the game, 2-1 right now, but Waterloo is starting to make their comeback.
Playing out of their minds at the moment. Such a good defense there on the overtime round is what put them in such a good position to be able to quickly cap on the Streets phase.
You're powered up. Get in there.
Absolutely gorgeous Ana play coming out there. The nano boost allowing that Genji blade to just absolutely tear through everybody on the side of U of T, and it's good to see Waterloo kind of pulling themselves together.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, this was starting to seem like dangerously close to just a 3-0 victory for the side of UFT, but at the very least, Waterloo are really making them work for it. As now, you know, Waterloo, this could be the beginning of a reverse sweep.
Yeah, and I mean, I know there's been so much talk about GOATS in the last forever. But I mean, GOATS is one of those comps that, yes, on paper, it is so powerful. There's so much health, there's so much utility, there's so much damage that can even come out of the 3-3 composition. But it requires so much coordination that, you know, people say, oh, just play GOATS, Forehead. It's not that simple.
No.
GOATS is a very, very difficult composition. There's so many kind of micro interactions that you have to pay attention to when playing GOATS. And so seeing Waterloo opt to, you know, ditch what is meta per se with that GOATS composition, going with the Genji, which we haven't seen in forever, and it paid off. It's absolutely awesome here. And let's take a look at here. Perfect. And yeah, it's really cool to see Waterloo kind of throw goats to the wind, bust out something a little bit more unique, seeing Dive come back in, seeing the Genji come in, and it's working for them.
It is, and I like, again, now they seem to be understanding their win conditions, especially playing the Dive on this defense. What you want to do, I know it's been a long time since we've seen Dive, so just as a reminder, when you play it on the defense, you want to play the game at your tempo. You don't want to let them get ready to engage onto you. As soon as they're in your range, you want to pounce onto them. And we saw that especially with Halo Angel. Really had Baradilf's number, starting to get convinced he owes him money. Just completely on the chase this entire time, trying to keep him out of the fight. And it didn't always work, but even when it didn't, it got time off the clock.
Yeah, and that's something that that they were kind of struggling with at the beginning, was kind of finding an opportunity to make these big plays, to have their players set up and kind of facilitate their DPS lineup. And Halo Angel was, we saw him get booped off the cliff in the prior defense.
Yeah.
But switching back over to that monkey, he was the one who was doing the shoving around this time. I mean, diving straight onto the backline supports of U of T, forcing them to play either out of position or kind of breaking their line of sights from their own tanks, which puts enough pressure on U of T to kind of scramble and reorient themselves on these points. And this just allows Vexnus to kind of thrive in that chaos. And when there's a disconnect between support line of sights and the main tanks here, that's where Genji can really do their best work. Dashing between targets, getting those kill resets, and just being that kind of mosquito that you can't get rid of.
Yeah, and that's why I really like the map choice from Waterloo. Like I was saying before, Numbani seems to be, from what we've seen earlier on and even before today, it seems to be playing to their strengths a little bit more. I think they understood that, and that's why we ended up seeing such a good performance out of them.
So we will be going to Junkertown as our next match here. And speaking of playing maps to their favor, this a selection from U of T, they have picked this map pool. Junkertown, I feel like, is definitely favoring Dimes. I mean, Dimes coming out huge on the Pharah, and it seemed like Dimes' Pharah was the end of Waterloo Warriors. But on Numbani, we saw they're capable of playing the Pharah themselves. And so seeing that aerial battle, potentially seeing that Pharmacy v Pharmacy here on the first point, at least of Junkertown, as they push through the wide open spaces and the winding corridors between houses, it'll really come down to kind of the positioning of both teams.
For sure. And I'm honestly looking to, I want to say this does favor U of T, and again, this is just going to knowing what works best for your team. Ben, we saw him briefly on Numbani, on Anubis, playing the Widowmaker. And in general, U of T seem really comfortable on the sniper characters to begin with. And that's what I'm expecting to see a lot of on Point A at the very least, because Junkertown A has probably the longest sight lines of any map in Overwatch. So a lot of people take advantage of that by playing characters like the Ashe, the Hanzo, the Widow, and that's what I'm expecting right now.
We see a double sniper in the past.
Yep.
Let's see quad sniper in future. We want the Ashe, the Widowmaker, the Hanzo, and the Ana all on the offensive to deal with the Pharah coming out from Dimes. But yeah, we are currently in game. We're just having some technicality things right now on the stream. But instead of watching the intro to Junkertown, just kidding, we're back on the intro of Junkertown. You don't have to look at us anymore. But here we go. The comps are going to be starting to lock in here. And let's take a look at what the defenders are bringing out first, because that comp is most likely not going to change, whereas the attackers have a tendency of trolling everybody.
Yeah, definitely. I tend not to even look at the attacking spawn until we get some more, until they walk out. Because even on the walkout, I have been tricked by teams. There's really no trusting the attack. Let's look at Waterloo. That's what I want to talk about here. Like I was saying, even on the defense, they're opting for this double sniper. Now they have Nexify on the Baptiste here. They want to run a really sustain heavy kind of bunker comp because they want ATT damage boosting the snipers. That is his main goal, and make it easier for them to win the sniper duels because UFT double sniper on their side too.
And it's interesting seeing the Baptiste come in here because he actually has so much versatility where Vexen is getting hooked in immediately. Armorose coming in huge with that Roadhog. And a very, very nice start to the fight here from the side of U of T.
Yeah, Armorose going for the Hog. Definitely want to take advantage of the Halt Hood combo and just the fact that he can take a little bit of punishment in his own right. Getting that early opening pick in an unresable position is really good for Waterloo right now.
Another nice hook coming in. Immortality Field going in immediately and immediately going down with Dimes picking it off with using that Storm Arrow. Baradil getting FSR rezzed back up and into the fight here. Armorose forced to fall back a little bit, but we've got a really nice shield position coming out from Little Big Hobo. Vexenus, though, taking out Baradil, and we can see Ben in the back line just trying to land those shots here. They've rotated around the Baptiste field. It's a very difficult ultimate to use here.
Vexen is doing some work, but overall, UFT doing work in their own right. Dimes with the big dragon might be the start of UFT actually continuing this push, especially with Armorose getting the big damage onto Waterloo using the whole hog. That is going to be a pretty quick cap.
And it was a nice combination too. You saw that Lact did manage to make it out of the dragons, but Armorose said no, back into the dragons you go, popped the whole hog and forced the mech straight back into the maw of death. And we see just so much value come out of that one ult. Vexenus, they just won the fight with it, and you know, Vexenus has his own dragons built up, so we'll see if they can return the favor. But Dimes already at 40% towards another dragon strike here.
And Waterloo getting taken out so early, didn't manage to be able to start. You have to set up behind the plate, but Vexenus, big dragon strike. Unfortunately, Trans didn't come in fast enough.
But it did allow them to get the resurrect here. Ben, though, picking off Vexenus in the backline, but Vexenus immediately getting picked up again by ATT. Lact dropping that self-destruct, forcing people away. The hog goes down, even in the middle of take a breather here. Ben picking off Damo in the backline and just doing some work on the high ground here as he's trying to cover Baradilf and Little Big Hobo's escape.
And this is big because Baradil didn't have Resurrect available at the time, so no reset button there. He's going to die with the Dragon Strike, and we're going to see getting some value. Halo Angel is going to go down.
And such a good counter towards that, both Immortality Field and the Baptiste amplification matrix. When there's a dragon flying through the matrix, you not only can you not really see what you're doing to shoot through it, but it's also very difficult to stand and make line of sight here. Armorose coming in huge, pick up Halo Angel and next fight with that whole hog before Vexenus finally puts down the hog itself. FSR dropping as well, and it's anybody's fight right now as Waterloo and Toronto are an absolute brawl.
Vexen is doing so much work, but it looks like Waterloo are all going to back up. Unfortunately, Little Hobo did not get the memo. Is going to get staggered out, but still pretty far into the streets phase. Waterloo holding, UFT still have 3 minutes and a Transcendence to boot.
Yeah, they're definitely in a good position here to make an aggressive play. They do have the dragons coming online as well, and they've got that Transcendence available in case, you know, Vexenus's dragons are up right now. Depending on how good their ult tracking is, we'll see. There's going to be a lot of pressure on FSR right now, but Damo coming in big. Little Big Hobo dropping down immediately, but we've got a nice res coming out. Ben returning the favor. Widow for Widow right now, and ATT also using that Resurrect. And that's just the power of Mercy. The hook comes through though. Huge Halo Angel drops down. Little Big Hobo is traded out as well, but Vexenus is coming out on top with the double kill here. Transcendence making sure that Armorose can stay alive here, but Vexenus's arrows are landing, hitting their marks where they need to be. FSR takes Vexenus down, but there's just nobody left on the side of Toronto right now. Waterloo is holding on.
UFT take Vexenus down, but at what cost, Falcon? They lost so many people in the process, thinking they were safe in the Transcendence, but not realizing that Hanzo can still headshot you and knock you out, and Vexenus proved that, taking 3 members in that last fight with the headshot. Some time being shaven off the clock, because now we're at 2 minutes, and we're actually going to see a swap from Dimes here. Is going to play the Genji instead.
And it's such a good spot for Waterloo to be defending right now, because, you know, they do almost have spawn advantage. It's very, very similar between both teams where Halo is currently stacked. Dragons are going to be forcing UFT to split a little bit here, but we do have Dimes switching over to that Genji, already at 38% towards that Dragon Blade. Ben picking off Nexify and Damo. This is where UFT starts to push, gets very aggressive. They know they're 2 up right now, and they can continue that pressure moving forward. Halo Angel dropping onto the point, but Armorose is just pegging damage into the backside of Halo Angel right now. Dimes coming in huge with the DMAC and the double kill, taking both Vexenus and Halo Angel back to their spawns, and UFT is being able to push forward here.
I really like this comp swap from UFT, realizing they can't go Orisa via Orisa in that head-to-head, you know, Orisa Hawk matchup. They decide to go for the dive, which makes a lot more sense. Being able to dive onto the Orisa, who has so much trouble because she's so slow to reposition herself. It's really to the dive's advantage to be able to just jump on them whenever one wants to. So that being said, they have dimes on the Genji for that bit of damage with the dive, but they're still keeping Ben on this Widow, which I love because he has not been a problem whatsoever.
Self-destruct comes through into the back line, not finding any targets right now. And UFT was doing such a good job of maintaining that forward pressure, but Halo Angel and Lack just completely dove straight past Dimes, saying we're going to contest the payload, but they maybe should have paid a little bit more attention to it because Dimes getting that Dragon Blade, taking Damo out here, picking off Lacked as well, with Little Big Hobo cleaning up his monkey counterpart as Halo Angel goes down, and UFT is going to continue to push forward here.
Mercy Pocket is so strong. Dimes is feeling pretty good knowing he cannot be taken down. Speaking of, gonna make the swap now that the blade is out. He is gonna play the Pharah. This is gonna be a little dangerous here as Damo's gonna swap onto the McCree. Not exactly the most amount of architecture for Pharah to hide behind, so Dimes has to be extra careful to make sure he's not taken out prematurely.
The immediate dive from Halo Angel and Lacked going in unison up into that high ground, trying to contest UFT's kind of grasp on the zone right now. Halo Angel, though, in a very scary spot. You don't want to be discorded when you're a monkey. You're just such a squishy and large target at that point. Dimes forced to fall back a little bit after quite a lot of damage gets pegged onto him here. Self-destruct falls into the back line, not finding any targets, but they're going to force Waterloo back. Dimes is going to clean up off the back of that self-destruct, making use of that chaos, making use of the people going to push out of position here. And again, Lacked and Damo both going down to that barrage of rockets.
This is suddenly really dangerous. UT are about to finish off.
Huge here. Little Big Hobo takes ATT out the middle of that sound barrier. Losing that ultimate is going to be huge. Dimes cleaning up with the rocket barrage. Vexus and Halo Angel try and make it back to the point, but they get greeted with a ton of rockets and aren't going to be able to survive. Lacked on the point right now. The Baby Diva, not exactly the tankiest of targets to be able to stall out here. Ben picking off next five before he can move forward. And here we go. Round one is complete with a full 3-point capture for the side of UFT.
Waterloo struggling to deal with Dimes on the Pharah yet again. Might end up being their downfall here. You have Damo on the McCree. Ideally to be able to at least keep Dimes back, at least make him think twice. But so far it's been no problem with how well UFT have been, just playing around him and giving him all the space that he needs to get this damage done.
Yeah, and I mean, it's especially on a map like Junkertown, where the payload path is so windy, you really need your tanks to play very far forwards when you're on the offensive. You keep your support back, they can roll the payload on their own. But when you have such a strong tank line to begin with, that's putting so much pressure on the side of Waterloo, and they're just giving so much free space over to the side of UFT. It's just such a difficult position for Waterloo to play into when just the two dive tanks are causing so much havoc in the backline that they can't actually contest the payload nearly at all.
Yeah, it's still getting the time bank down to 27 seconds is pretty good. Waterloo do have an opportunity to get a better time bank here, but that, of course, that still requires them to actually finish. And it looks like UFT, very interesting defense here, going for the bunker with the Symmetra.
I like it.
There's a lot
I was kind of
there.
expecting the Pharah to come back out because Dimes has just found so much value on that. But looks like we've got kind of the OG double shield pirate ship, but the reboot. This time we do have ATT, but the immediate hook from Armorose just on point with those first bloods of the game.
And it seems like UFT really smart with how they're running this. They have the Symmetra teleporter, not just for the turret damage over left click, just for the immediate ability to disengage. Every time, they feel a little too much pressure, they have the teleport, instantly move to another location, and already they're ready to start firing again. So now, we're going to see Waterloo make the swap here to the OG Goats comp, or sorry, the Zen Goats comp rather, and they just want to be able to rush out and get the kill on the Dimes here, but they're already taking so much damage on entry.
The immediate teleporter comes out, forcing them back onto the high ground. Even though Halo Angel is right in their face, they're not going to be able to do anything about it. Vexus getting taken out in the back line. They've got that crossfire between Armorose's Hog Ben on that Widowmaker, and then the entire Bastion bunker sitting up on its own. So there's 3 angles at which UFT are attacking from right now, and Waterloo is just having such a difficult time of finding the proper method to get past this.
But when that much mobility isn't... Oh, actually getting this pick on a Little Big Hobo is huge for them. They no longer have a shield. Now UFT are going to have to struggle because there's no real protection for Dimes on this Bastion. But still, him having the tank configuration available might buy them enough time.
Really actually smart play coming up from UFT. Going towards the high ground here, not only does it kind of protect Dimes a little bit, but it also makes sure that they only have one method of attack. We got the immediate Transcendence coming out from Nexify, but here comes that configuration tank. He's sitting in the middle of the Immortality field, dropping Vexinus and Lack down, but Halo Angel is going to find the kill on FSR, sorry. But that configuration tank was huge. Back-to-back, though. The kills are coming out for both teams, and it's just an absolute brawl into a stalemate right now. Vexinus finds the reflect, they're dropping Dimes extremely low, and here we go. Finally, Waterloo has, broken through this interesting Bastion split DPS bunker comp that Toronto's pulled out, and they're getting some payload time.
And look how much time they shaved off the clock. 2 minutes gone for the side of Waterloo. They must be feeling the heat now as they have to at least finish point A, and they really only have a few fights to do so because of how much time UFT took. Now UFT are going to swap it around a little bit. Run this triple support with keeping Ben on this Widowmaker, so they're really depending on him to get the damage done, along with Armorose on the Hog.
I mean, Bender's just completely uncontested in the backline here. FSR getting picked off early, though, is pretty bad for UFT. Their stick comes out onto Dimes as well. Vexinus doing work on that Genji, picking up the double kill, and this is looking great for Waterloo. They might have lost a little bit of time in the beginning of these fights here, but they are making up for it by being able to just steamroll through that composition coming out from the side of UFT.
Waterloo finally getting the ball rolling is going to be really big for them. UFT are just now getting back from spawn and still have to reset. If Waterloo's smart, they can go ahead and still keep them on the back foot, allow them from properly setting themselves up. And now they're going to make the swap. Damo is going to play the Zarya. I think they want to swap to the Winston Goats, but they're waiting to go with the Nanoblade because Vexinus and Nexify both have their ultimates.
Bongo immediately coming out a little bit early. You can see Waterloo says, okay, you can play your music, but we're going to fall right back, wait for that Bongo to wear off. And a little bit preemptive there from the side of UFT.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to go mostly to waste here. Coldport not doing anything either, but here comes the Nanoblade.
Finding FSR early, taking out Ben in the backline, gets those dash resets, Dimes goes down as well, and Vexinus has been an absolute terror on this Genji, regardless of the map that you're playing on. The interrupt onto that Resurrect from Baradilf as well, coming out from Nexify, and this is looking so clean from Waterloo.
And all of a sudden, Waterloo struggling to get out of the first part of Junkertown, are well on their way to finishing the Streets phase with some ults to spare. This is a bit of scramble time here for UFT. They are going to try for one last contest, but I don't know if they're going to make it.
Oh, they might. Dimes getting real close, but the boop coming in.
Oh, no, they got it.
Huge, huge coordination coming out from Waterloo, and now they're cleaning up as UFT is trying to retreat here. Armorose picks off ATT, but the defender's spawn is going to be, far enough back that it's not going to actually hinder the side of Waterloo all that much.
No, they definitely still have the advantage here. Some squishy characters on the side of UFT just waiting to back into spawn, but it looks like they don't really want to poke that bear just yet. Again, still some pretty good ults are online for them. Damo about to get the grab, already charging it so quickly, and the potential grab bomb combo is there, especially with only Little Big Hobo on the Winston. That Winston bubble doesn't last very long.
Yeah, you can definitely melt through that bubble very, very quickly. So it is going to be a lot of pressure coming out here. Self-destruct, flying wide. The bubble misses a little bit, but everyone manages to break line of sight here. High Noon does come out, forcing Waterloo to fall back a little bit. Graviton is going to catch up both Armorose and Little Big Hobo. And another Nanoblade comes out from Vexinus, finding Ben in the back line. Next fight, picking off Armorose. But Vexinus drops to FSR's balls to the head. And it's looking actually really good for the side of Toronto right now. A lot was invested from Waterloo, but they're not getting a whole lot of value out of it.
It's really debatable using the side of that beam. Oh, but it looks like we actually have a disconnect here. Yeah, probably hope we can get some kind of pause, because the cart is getting closer to spawn here, or sorry, to the finishing point here. But it looks like
Baradilf dropping again. Round 2 will be complete. All right, we'll see what's going on here. See if we can figure out these these pause actions. As we've had a couple of maps here where in those last few seconds someone has DC'd, and it is, you know, those critical moments where one person can really make or break whether or not a map goes through here.
It is, because now it's such a huge time bank. Okay, now we're going back to the lobby just briefly here.
No, that's just me.
Okay.
We're good.
And yeah, now because Waterloo has such a huge time bank compared to UFT, because they were able to basically for free just go through that last little stretch here of Junkertown.
And so we'll see the 2 minutes and 59 seconds on the clock here for the side of Waterloo. But as all right, looks like we are potentially going to be pausing here before the round starts. We've got about 20 seconds left before someone can pause it. We'll see what's going out. But as we look at the comps here, it's a pretty standard defense goats coming out here. But all right, we'll see what happens. You get to look at us for a little bit more time here before we move on. Looks like we might not actually have to pause here. It just came in a minute too late. We'll see what happens though. But we can talk about some team compositions. You guys on the stream can't see it right yet, but on the side of Waterloo here, it's looking pretty standard.
Yeah, just going for the Rhine Goats composition here, or sorry, the usual Rhine Goats, but with the Ana actually. Nexify, they want to have that little bit of extra healing, maybe a sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Engagement. An engagement condition. Like when that Ana gets the nade, that's your go button. It's really, that's immediately like, okay, we can get some kills. Let's go in right now.
And I mean, Ana's anti-grenade also acts as kind of a deterrent to dive as well. I mean, when the D.Va and when the Winston jump onto your team, if you can land that anti-grenade, it makes them drop so quickly, and it drastically reduces the effectiveness of dive. So there's a lot of pressure going to be coming out onto Lact or onto whoever happens to possibly playing D.Va on the side of UFT to really keep their defense matrix up for something as huge as the anti.
That's right. So now UFT are going to move on the attack. Shorter time bank does mean their first attack, but they're backing off because they know Waterloo are going for that really close-up hold here with the Ghost Cop, holding straight at the spawn doors. So we're going to see some swaps here. Actually, they're opting for the multi-DPS. Since Halo Angel is not playing the Winston, they don't really have to worry about getting tickled to death.
We see the Doomfist coming in from Armorose, normally on that hog for the last couple of runs here, but paired with Dimes, there's just so much displacement, so it's going to be really rough to be Halo Angel in this situation. The Hamster can knock you away, the Doomfist can knock you up into the air, Dimes can push you around, and it's just a really nice counter from UFT here into the composition that Waterloo decided to open their defense with.
It's really quick thinking from them, but still, it looks like their 1 minute has been expended, and they're now going to be in permanent overtime, as this is the overtime round. They can't afford to get off the point for a single second going forward.
Yep, they've got 4 meters of grace space around this payload. And the longer it goes on, the faster that overtime will tick away. FSR playing a dangerous game, ticking a little bit far away from that payload. But as we see, Dimes playing very far forward with that Mercy. But Damo getting the early pick onto Dimes, and this is what they need to go aggressive. Gets the res though, Dimes back into the fray. We've got the Winston bubble coming down, allowing Lact to come straight into the engage here. Halo Angel has that nano boost and is going to be able to force FSR to play back a little bit. Just so much damage is going to come out of that nano boosted monkey, but it's still going in the favor of Toronto right now. Lact dropping down onto the point, and they're just dropping back to their spawn as well. Vexinus teleporting back and forth with those blinks and with those rewinds, but they are going to be able to get this first capture here.
And I really, oh man, they almost got off the cart. I really like the split push we saw from UFT, managing to keep FSR and Dimes just in the back area while Dimes threw some damage into those tight corridors. Armorose was on the Doomfist, managing to get some serious value out of that damage. But now
here we see the swap onto the Reaper, and I think this is actually really smart from them. Reaper wants to play close, and to get people off of a payload, what do? You dive the payload, and that's what the Reaper wants. Reaper wants you to come to him.
Yeah, you do
And
have
here
to
we
play
go.
really
The monkey
smart.
comes in immediately, and this is where Omarosa starts
big.
getting their value. But FSR dropping to that pulse bomb. Absolutely huge from Vexinus right now. Baradelf does get the res available, and Dimes coming in big, getting the DMAC and the kill into Demo with that rocket barrage. And it's just buying so much more space here for the side of U of T to be able to push forward. Nice boop from the monkey, pushing people a little bit far off the payload, but not far enough to stop this overtime. Lack stalling out as long as they can, but I mean, they're already in overtime. It's not making that much of a difference right now. Demo has picked off Ben in the back line, but it's still looking very, very solid for the side of U of T.
Yeah, U of T being very careful with how they play this. They know they can't get off the cart, but are managing to get Waterloo off of it every time they go onto them, especially with Omarosa on this Reaper, getting so much damage in. And Ben, huge kills with the...
Somehow the stick didn't kill Baradelf, but Vexinus decided to, put the rest of the damage back in forwards. The Primal Raging Monkey is going to be a huge target for Omarosa to start building up that Death Blossom. Already at 98%. Here it comes out, taking Vexinus down, doing so much damage to Halo Angel, but forcing that Nano Boost to come out. So much damage coming out, though. Just landing right on top of FSR, but it's not going to be enough. They managed to get a couple of picks here and there, but U of T still coming out ahead. They get the second point here, and they start moving towards this third capture point.
Really unfortunate. Vexinus' Pulse Bomb stuck onto Baradelf, but for some reason, nothing really went off about it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it didn't kill them.
Maybe perhaps FSR gave him the armor pack, and the armor reduced some of the damage, but I don't know if that was enough.
They're playing such a dangerous game on this payload. Everyone's jumping around, and someone's going to walk off of it at some point here. And there comes the stick again, finding ATT, but this time the stick's coming out from Dimes. Little Big Hobo's minefield, forcing them to play a little bit far back and not giving Waterloo the kind of opening that they needed to get onto the payload here. Halo Angel stuck alone in the middle of the entirety of U of T, and they are still making progress here in Junkertown.
That they are. With overtime starting basically at point A, U of T have done so well to get themselves this far, cycling their ults, making the appropriate swaps. Now Ben has the tactical visor on the Soldier 76, so this next push is also going to get hard for Waterloo as U of T are essentially around this last corner.
Here comes the tactical visor from Ben up in the high ground. Immediate dive from Lack, though. Not before ATT goes down. So much of that damage got absorbed by the defense matrix, and they're doing a really good job. Waterloo playing straight onto that payload. Shatter comes through, and it's huge!
Big Shatter!
Bomb comes through, looking for targets in the backline, is going to find Baradelf, but Dime's still alive on that payload. Flitting back and forth, gets the stick on a Halo Angel. Demo picks off Omarosa, and it's back and forth right now. Waterloo and U of T are just trading. No one wants to give up any ground here, but it's looking like Waterloo has going to come out ahead of this. Grav comes out, Little Big Hobo goes down, and finally the round is ending.
Little Big Hobo unfortunately could not spin to win, but even so, it was only a matter of time before he got taken out. That was a big shatter. Pretty much what Waterloo was playing for once you realize they have literally no shield aside from a Brig to be able to block it. So finally, although they didn't quite finish, U of T still got quite a bit of distance, and Waterloo still has a tall order.
Yeah, and I mean it took them a little while to find their footing there, but in an overtime situation like that, you really have to play the ultimate game. You want those zoning ults. You want the Diva Bomb built up quickly to force people to play defensively around the payload or even move off the payload. Maybe even the Blizzard. Like Mei, such a good overtime character. The Blizzard has so much potential to get basically a full team halt onto their overtime payload. But it just took Waterloo a little bit too long to actually build up something to stop the slow roll of U of T.
Yeah, that's the problem. They were kind of struggling early on. That's why we saw a lot of swaps from them. So their inability to charge up effective ultimates was very likely as a result of that.
Yeah, the saying of throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks, that definitely came true here for Waterloo's trying, composition after composition to find, what is going to work for them on the defense here. But we'll see what they decide to bring out on the offensive, if they're going to stick with this pirate shippy comp with the Caribbean Coalition Baptiste himself.
Yeah,
but
and this is really good because U of T are going for this really tight bunker shot and try to keep themselves contesting the payload for as long as possible. But
and they're using the Mei cheese here.
Yeah.
Fun fact about Mei, you can ice wall here and contest the payload through, basically in the safety of the building. And really, really nice way to buy some important seconds off the clock here. Lacked getting very close to being stunned out and frozen here. Ben using the ice wall to barely save himself, using that ice block, the popsicle mode to heal up all that damage coming out from Damo. But Waterloo is having a really rough time to be able to push even just a few meters forward here against that Mei ice wall, against everyone hiding in this little hut.
Yeah, this comp isn't how you win necessarily. It is just to get as much time off the clock as possible. And in this overtime scenario, this is definitely the right call to make. Finally, Damo, with a strong ultimate here, the tank configuration is going to try to get some picks for his team.
But Ben just getting so much value out of that ice wall. The tank configuration does come out, but nothing comes out of it due to the fact that the ice wall ate almost all of it. Nano Boost and Halo Angel is also invincible in this immortality field here. Nice gravity orb comes through, but the ice block stops Halo Angel Shatter, and this is massive for U of T. They are able to basically negate 3 ults back to back. Armorose dropping that sound barrier to make sure everyone stays alive, and here comes the Blizzard trapping Halo Angel inside the grab, but they have committed so much to this fight here to try and defend it. But I mean, it's paying off, but they've definitely lost their ult advantage.
Yeah, still, now we're looking for some value here from the tank configuration, but still, Waterloo cannot confirm the kills. They really need to start getting this moving. Usually this comp isn't how you get a full hold, but UFT look like they are potentially doing so.
It's looking really good. Halo Angel trying to get the charge, but again, Ben is just on point with those ice walls. Lack self-destruct, goes a little bit wide out of the way, and Halo Angel gets knocked to the ground with a nice shatter coming off from Little Big Hobo. Nano Boost comes through, keeping Halo Angel alive, but can't really drop that shield when you're under the constant threat of being stunned out by Ben's Mei. They started this fight with 3 minutes on the clock to push forward. AGT getting grabbed, attached to that satellite. Vexinus no longer has that pocket support. Damo does finally manage to pick off Ben, but FSR coming in huge with the double kill. And looking at it, 3 minutes to start this assault, and they are down to just 30 seconds, and they've barely made it out of spawn.
That is some quick thinking from FSR to get the Mercy out of the fight like that. So now, this is an extremely dangerous situation for Waterloo. All they have is the Earth Shatter, and if that doesn't net any value, this is going to be as good as done, because Ben is about to come up to that Blizzard, and a few more ults on the side of UFT.
And this is what I'm talking about. When it gets to those overtime situations, especially because there isn't a D.Va to try and eat the Blizzard, there is a D.Va. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Lack to eat that Blizzard here.
Blizzard got eaten!
And this is exactly what they did. Huge shatter comes. Angel knocking everyone to the ground in the middle of that. Sound barrier comes out, but not before FSR and Ben both go down. They're being able to push forward a little bit here, but one by one, Waterloo is knocking the members of Toronto out. Baradil, the last one left. Armorose goes down with them. The supports die in unison, and here we go. Waterloo is being able to push forward here, though they are back in the same situation that Toronto found themselves in the overtime push, where they cannot leave this payload.
Waterloo has such a tall order ahead of them to be able to get all the way there on overtime. With how much they've struggled so far, almost seems like too much to ask, but they have some pretty good ult charge going in their favor. Damo probably in this next fight will get the Graviton Surge, and that needs to land, and most of all, Waterloo needs to shut down the ultimates we're seeing from the side of UFT.
This is really good from UFT here. We see them playing very forward, and the Shatter comes straight on through, knocking Lack to the ground. Ben picking off Halo Angel in the middle of that shield, using that die, but here comes the Graviton, paired with that self-destruct. Not finding any value, though, because Little Big Hobo managed to block the entire thing with that shield of his. Using that Transcendence to keep the last few members of Waterloo alive on the point, and it was exactly what they needed. Nextfi picking off FSR and forcing Toronto to fall back here.
Unfortunately, they are going to get that opportunity as all of UFT are going to get wiped, sent back to the spawn room. Again, really clutch situation for Waterloo, keeping themselves in the fight, charging some strong ults in the first place. Going forward, I really want to give props to ATT with the discipline, holding on to that sound barrier, knows they need it in the future, can't afford to waste a single ult. So now FSR, only one of UFT with something to work with here. If that Grav gets eaten, we might see a Streets phase finish.
And just absolute massive showing coming out from Waterloo. That fight looked like it was going in the favor after Little Big Hobo landed that shatter. And here comes another shatter. Counter grab comes out, though, not letting them follow up for any of that. But we've got support ult after support ult right now. Little Big Hobo, FSR, and Dimes all trapped within the Graviton. And it's huge for Waterloo. Halo Angels just swinging that hammer back and forth. But here comes the Dragons. Ben picking off Lack. Transcendence comes out from Nectify a little late. Not going to be able to save Ben's life, but they are going to be able to keep everyone else alive on the payload. Amorose and Baradil still the support duo, the last two to go down, but they're not going to be able to stall out. Halo Angel gets another kill at the end.
Falcon, I can't believe what I'm seeing. Waterloo are going to make it all the way to the last point. Though this is the last, it is definitely the longest. Having to wrap their way around this corner here. Still, some pretty good ults at their disposal. While UFT make complete wholesale swaps and therefore have no ults to begin with, Damo making that swap here onto the McCree, knows they have to deal with Dime, and this is going to be it. Can Waterloo deal with what's given them so much trouble all game?
And I mean, you said exactly what I've been thinking, Beatdown, is that, you know, it seems like, oh, here we go. Another shatter comes through, finding Little Big Hobo paired with that self-destruct. Is going to come in big. Armorose and Dimes going down. Lacked is doing work right now on this D.Va. Waterloo looking so crisp, so clean in these fights as they push forward in overtime.
Not doing so much, but we need him to do just a little bit more. Two big ultimates are about to come online from the side of UFT. That Dragon and the Rocket Barrage, they need to be shut down by Lack. If he can do this, he might actually buy his team their way into the map 5.
Vexinus using that rally early, knowing that this is the last fight territory that they're in right now. Dragon's coming through, forcing them to fall back a little bit, but Dimes
down.
So much damage, but so much of it gets negated. ATT coming in big. Transcendence making sure that Waterloo can stay alive on this point. We've got FSR just railing bullets into the backline from that little tiny window here. But Damo is going to come in big, taking out Little Big Hobo. ATT finds Ben in the backline. And FSR's Bastion also goes down.
Canceled.
Baradil,
they're going to do
last
it.
one. Waterloo has tied up the series 2-2 right now. The reverse sweep dream is coming through. And UFT is now backpedaling.
Waterloo doing what we thought was impossible with overtime starting from point A, where it seems like everything was stacked against them. They managed to grind their way all the way to the end here. Props to Waterloo. We're going to a map 5.
Huge Dragon Blade coming out here. We've just seen such good synergy in between the Ana and the Genji on the side of Waterloo, and it's great. I love this.
I'm just checking it. I'm just making sure my heart is still beating because I'm literally at the edge of my seat that entire time.
And these seats are small. I'm feeling the edge of the seat right now.
That's right. And every fight, I'm like, oh man, this isn't looking good for Waterloo. This isn't looking good for Waterloo. But Waterloo don't care.
Nope. They came out ahead, and again, backs against the wall. That's when the beast really strikes back. And Waterloo is proving that even though they are a new team in this circuit, that they deserve to be here, taking UFT to the final match here, tying it up 2-2. We're going to Oasis as our tiebreaker, another control point map.
Yeah, as always with Overwatch, start with control, end with control. No tying possibilities here, so this is going to be where it's all decided. Will Waterloo complete the reverse sweep, or will UFT Esports deny them completely? And we're going to see. This is going to decide who goes to face Carleton in the finals here at the OCL.
And then, you know, just going from a map perspective, Waterloo definitely struggled in the first control point matchup that we had. And, you know, UFT was very, very dominant on that first control point map. But it looks like Waterloo has kind of found their footing, decided that, you know, they're no longer going with just solely GOATs. They've got those full dive comps. They've got the double DPS, triple DPS, quad DPS comps coming out, and they're comfortable playing those. So hopefully this next control point will not go in the favor of, you know, just GOATs dying to dimes. I feel like, you know, Waterloo has shown that they've been able to do so much more than just GOATs, and they're really going to have to pull out all the stops if they want to defeat UFT in control.
I agree, and I really do. They gotta opt for those DPS mirrors. They can't keep running GOATs into the multi-DPS because on many points of Oasis, it is a pretty strong comp. And like you said, UFT are very adept at it. So hopefully we've seen Waterloo bring out the DPS before. It looks like they're gonna have to do it now. Otherwise, if they play the Monkey GOATs, they have to play it extremely well and actually like focus on dimes.
Yeah.
Dimes needs to go down.
Especially because there's so many like open ceilings and high ground areas that really enable a pharmacy combo from any comp. So it'll really be down to the DPS from both Waterloo and UFT, I think, in this matchup. So, I mean, looking at Halo Angel and Little Big Hobo going head to head as those main tank roles, they've both been doing exceptionally well at not only shielding their team as the Reinhardt, coming in clutch with those big shatters, but also diving the backline when they're on that dive tank here. So, I mean, comparing those two, they're very, very evenly matched. And so I feel like a lot of it is going to be coming down to which DPS duo can take out those first early picks and swing the fight in their favor.
And overall, too, Waterloo throughout this entire match has been struggling a little bit with their focus fire. And I think that's what's cost them maps on occasion here. So dealing with UFT, especially with the DPS heavy composition, when you want to focus a squishy target, you all have to look at the same person. Because although they do have low HP, they still need to go down as quickly as possible so you can focus on the next target, and then the next target, and so on. And that's what's going to win you this game.
Yep, so lots of emphasis on the team coordination and the shot calling.
Looks like we're going to have just a short pause here. Someone might be in the process of disconnecting. Does happen.
I think they're just testing the pause functionality.
You know, it's funny, I wanted to say that, but I
think we know how to do it now.
That's good.
Control, for those of you who don't know, if you're running a custom game lobby, holding control and then shift and then equals will pause the game. Huh?
Also by default, it should pause when someone disconnects. Never turn that off.
Yeah, keep
There's
that
no
setting
reason
on.
to.
It's a nice setting.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
And we, from this moment forward, are going to reap the benefits of aforementioned setting.
And I mean, another thing, while we're on the topic of custom games,
Oh, okay.
the workshop.
Oh, gotta love it.
Very exciting. So, you know, we're taking a quick pause here.
Yeah, just showing some replays while we sort everything out here.
And see, there's such a huge shatter coming through. Halo Angel does get charged through, but manages to charge all the way back out. And this is where it all started to go downhill for the side of U of T.
Yeah, the fact that they managed to, Waterloo, that is, managed to just cycle their ultimates so well. And honestly, some props there to Nexify, charging that Transcendence very quickly, always up when they needed it. And they were so smart about their support ults, never layering them, always spacing them out, getting the utmost value you can.
And just so much kind of restraint is shown as well.
Yeah.
And it's similar here, as we can see. Dimes tried to get so much value out of that
here's
rocket
the
barrage.
moment.
It was such a good position, but it just wasn't quite enough.
Yeah.
And just that Transcendence, keeping everyone alive through that hailstorm of bullets. But you can see Nexify is just absolutely doing work on that Zenyatta, not only keeping everyone alive, but also railing out so much damage in these fights.
Yeah, and he's really smart with how, FSR picked a really good position on that Bastion to be able to try and get them off of the cart. It made his hitbox smaller as a lot of him was covered, but the way Waterloo played around that was so smart. Nexify in particular, you could see in that replay, as soon as the Bastion was just registered, like, hey, they have a Bastion now, immediately he's behind the cart, poking in and out, throwing damage, making sure he doesn't get hit all at once by Bastion, because that is an easy way to lose all 200 of your HP and then some.
And some more.
That's right.
He can chew through 1,000 very quickly.
No problem. 300 bullet clip is quite large.
And here we go.
Headshot.
We are unpausing the round here as we go. In our last matchup here, it is currently 2-2 as University of Waterloo goes up against University of Toronto, as they both try and move on from this semifinal matchup to face Carleton in the finals here of the Ontario Challengers League.
This is going to decide everything. Waterloo, looking like they were on the cusp of being completely defeated, have brought this match as far as it can go. So this is going to be what decides it.
And I mean, coming into this fight, initially, I was feeling U of T. U of T was making such a dominant showing, but watching how versatile Vexinus is has kind of swayed me. I think my personal prediction, I feel like Waterloo might actually come ahead here.
Yeah, just for the sake of sheer momentum. But now they're playing this Goats with the McCree. It is going to be a difficult way to deal with the comp we're seeing from UFT at the moment, unless Dable can really hit those shots and knock at least Dimes or one DPS out of the fight. If they can keep UFT constantly back and forth, that's going to be what they need to get done here. But unfortunately, the kills are coming in for the side of UFT.
Damo did get a kill on a little big hobo, and they get the
cap.
first capture over here. Nobody from the side of UFT actually made it onto the point to contest it. They are going to be able to get a little bit of free control here, but Dimes still doing work on that far up.